Welcome to the brand new Draymond Green Show YouTube channel. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. Nets trade Mikal Bridges to the Knicks for 5 first-round picks, or 5 first-rounders, plus pick swaps. I was a little shocked. I was shocked because it's crazy when Mikal got traded to the Nets from Phoenix, everybody kind of knew the Nets would at some point go into this rebuild that they just went into. And so everybody was kind of talking about what they would trade for Mikal Bridges. And you hear like 4 first-round picks, 5 first-round picks would be like the cost of the trade. And then the Rudy Gobert trade happened. And when the Rudy Gobert trade happened, initially in the first year of it, it didn't look like it was working. And everybody gives up on things extremely fast. In this day and age that we live in. And so it didn't look like it was successful. So then everybody pulled back on like the draft picks, like, whoa, like they just took too many draft picks away. That's a heist. And then it kind of reset the market. So then in turn, you see how many picks Damian Lillard got traded for last year, which was like 2 first-round picks, I want to say, plus Drew Holiday. But we knew Portland didn't necessarily want Drew Holiday. What they wanted was the picks. They didn't flip Drew Holiday for some players and some picks. But the market had been reset. And now with the Mikal Bridges trade, it's went right back up to the amount of picks that Rudy Gobert was traded for. Strictly due to the success that the Minnesota Timberwolves just had. So they go to the conference finals, have a tough conference finals, but everybody thought for a second like, yo, this team might win the finals. And so we always talk about the copycat league, and look at that. In an indirect way, you see it again, the copycat league. And so the Knicks give up a bunch of picks, and what the Knicks essentially just did was they pretty much just said they're going for it now. And I think Mikal Bridges is one of the better wing players in our league. Great two-way player. He defends extremely well, shoot the ball extremely well. I thought in Brooklyn the second year, he got caught with the ball in his hands too much. And I don't think that's where he's at his best. I think he has the ball, and when he has the ball, he can make plays. But I thought the ball was kind of in his hand a bit too much that second year. And I thought it hindered his play a little bit. Now he'll be back at his normal position where, he catching and shooting, he catching, attacking the closeouts. And I think that best suits him, allows him to play his best basketball. We know he can do something with the ball, and so it's always good to have those skills when you need to get to it. But I think he's better suited, and more of it is like his role in Phoenix, but at a much higher volume. Like use him more within your offense for sure, but just coming down, calling for a pick and roll every time, I don't think that's where he's best suited. Nonetheless, anyway, the New York Knicks went for it, and they just mortgaged off their future saying, we got it right now. And that's been a hot topic here on the podcast during the playoffs because I told y'all what I thought about the New York Knicks. And I've had a bunch of New York Knicks fans come up to me over the last, let's see, what it's been since the New York Knicks lost, maybe a month. It's over the last month, like, you were wrong about the Knicks. I was at a friend's wedding this weekend, actually in New York. And the best friend of the groom since elementary school, she's a New York Knicks fan, big-time New York Knicks fan. And we had a little thing back and forth for a while where she tried to tell me, like, you were wrong about my Knicks. I said, who was wrong? And she was like, you were wrong because blah, blah, blah. I said, no, but the Knicks lost in the second round. So I was kind of right. And she was like, no, such and such got hurt. And when OG Anunoby plays, we 26-6 and blah, 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 and this person was hurt and that person was hurt. And I said, well, I didn't necessarily say y'all were going to be healthy or hurt. I said I didn't think y'all would get much further. So I was right. And she went on this whole thing back and forth for a while. And like ultimately she ended up telling me I was right, which was true. But anyway, which brings us, to this discussion. I think adding Mikal Bridges, re-signing OG Anunoby to a 5-year, $213 million contract. I think those are great things that makes that team better. And I think that team is going to be tough because they're going to defend. We know Tibbs teams are going to defend. They got offensive weapons. But I ultimately don't think that team gets over the hump still. And so if the team doesn't get over the hump, say in 2 years, then everybody in the NBA get really impatient, like, it ain't working. We got to make moves. And then now you're looking to trade some of those guys to get some picks back in because you move on to where the Knicks were 4 or 5 years ago, which was 4 or 5 years away from being 4 or 5 years away. As a 12-year NBA veteran, recovery is very important to me. As I continue to get a little older, the body just doesn't bounce back the way it used to. So I'm a big fan of Hyperice, especially their Normatec boots. What's great about the new Normatec Elite is that they ditched all the extra hoses and control units from the old model. This one is fully self-contained with a small set of buttons to select your compression level. Super easy to travel with and to get set up after a hard workout or a big game. On top of that, the Normatec Elite packs 4 hours of battery life. That's enough juice to get full leg compression cycles in before games, after games, and even on the plane. And don't get me started on the tech inside this thing. Hyperice has been pioneering recovery science for years, and the brand new Normatec Elite takes it to another dimension with 7 different compression levels to choose from. But it's not just for pro athletes. Everyone can get their hands on these to help with recovery, increasing circulation, and reducing swelling in the lower body. Shop all your warm-up and recovery needs at Hyperice.com. Use code Draymond for 15% off your order today. Exclusions apply. And so now, the Knicks are in a space where they're going for it, and I respect it. I think, you got to go for it at some point. But what just happened with the trade was that, if this doesn't work in 2 to 3 years, the Knicks will be rebuilding again because they traded all their picks away, and then they'll be trying to trade those guys to get picks back in. And that's kind of how it all plays out. And I'm sorry to the Knicks fans, but that's how I actually think it's going to play out. And I don't think it's any indictment to Mikal, who I think is like a top tier player in the NBA. You got tiers, but damn good player. Jalen Brunson, who's all NBA. Julius, who's been all NBA. Donte, nothing but love for Donte. OG, who's a champion. It's actually no indictment on any of those guys. I just don't think that group is good enough to beat Boston. Ultimately, you're building a team that you hope can beat Boston. And I don't think that team is going to beat Boston. So you got a year or two like the Houston Rockets. I don't know if y'all remember the Rockets of old when we was on our run. I always talk to y'all about them because they're very interesting. You got 2 years and then it's that didn't work and Clint Capella gone. And the first domino fall. And once the first domino fall, that's it. It's going from there. And so that's what I kind of think is going to happen. That's how I see it playing out. If it don't work, that's exactly how it will play out. So you heard it here first. Nonetheless, I think those are great moves by the Knicks. I just don't think they quite get you over the hump, which then you have to say, looking down the road. But, I get it because if you're the front office, you got to swing because if not, you're going to get fired because we play in this league that only really 4 to 5 teams want to win. everybody say they want to win. And then a few more than the 4 or 5 will act like they want to win. But the reality is every year, only really 4 to 5 teams really want to win a championship. And y'all like, everybody want to win. I don't get that. I'm not going to take the time on this podcast to explain to you what I mean by that. Just know only 4 to 5 teams want to win per year for real, doing everything they can do to win. But for some reason, coaches get fired fast like nobody's tomorrow in this league. GMs get fired after they get done firing the coach a time or two to save their own ass. And it's all kind of like smoke and mirrors because everybody really not trying to win. So if a team go to the playoffs a couple years in a row and get to like the second round, if they get to like the second round or first round exit, second round exit, even mix in a conference finals here and there, then a year or two later, if they don't do the same thing, they get fired. But they be getting fired by these teams that don't really want to win. And so it's a very interesting dynamic in the NBA. I've just been thinking about this a lot, like why so many coaches get fired. Oh, they get fired because the GM throw them under the bus to save his ass. All right, then the GM going to get fired shortly after that. And it's just like this ongoing cycle. But you see like all of these bad teams who really don't win the championships be the teams that's firing their coaches. And so in a league where that happens, that's what goes on with these teams. Everybody overreacts, and it happens fast. So they got 2 years. They on the clock. New York Knicks fans.
In the next 3 years, do the New York Knicks make it to the NBA Finals? Yes or no?
No. I do not think so. No. Health is important. Health is very important. And I'll tell you now, I don't want to see that team in the regular season because they are going to be playing harder than nobody's tomorrow. I kid you not, that team defensively is going – by the way, defensively, that team is going to be tough. Like, tough. And playing against a team like that during the regular season when you really don't got time to, like, prepare and then you go up against that defense, man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Like that, they would not shock me if they get a number 1 seed, number 2 seed. Wouldn't shock at all. But ultimately, I think when it comes down to winning a championship, you have to have guys who can get a bucket by any means necessary on anybody. I don't care who your defensive adjustment is, who you go to, that guy got to be able to get a bucket on him in order to carry a team to a championship. And, like, there are guys you can make it tough on. And so I don't think so. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry, Knicks fans, they'll be like, you're a hater. Like, no, I just got an opinion, and that's it.
Get ready for a great night of fights. UFC 303. It can be even bigger if you sign up. You know it doesn't take long, to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. You know, make it simple. Go to DraftKings, select a fighter, place your first bet. DraftKings, new customers, all you have to do is bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Okay, so you just download the app now. It takes 90 seconds. Do it on your phone. It takes 90 seconds. Put in the code Colin. That would be me, COLIN. And there you go. $5, you get $150. That's a pretty sweet deal. DraftKings, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Have a great summer.